People look at me now, gray hair, trembling hands, a face full of lines, and think I'm just another old woman whose memories are fading with the daylight. Let them think that. Wrinkles don't tell my story. The real scars are the ones no one sees, the kind buried deep in the heart. My life wasn't always quiet and lonely. There was a time when my day smelled of fresh bread, coffee, and receipts from our small shop. My husband, Robert, and I started with a single corner store. We worked hard, sunrise to midnight, counting coins, stacking shelves, smiling at customers even when our feet ached. Years passed, and so did success. That one store became 5. People used to joke that I knew every penny that passed through the register just by its sound. We raised 3 children in the middle of that busy life, Michael first, then Sophia and Daniel. Michael was always by my side. He loved numbers, balance sheets, and the way money moved. I used to say proudly, "That boy's going to go far." And he did, just not in the way any mother dreams. I remember one thing from his childhood that should have warned me. He sold his baseball cards to another kid for triple their worth. When I told him to return the extra money, he smiled and said, "But he agreed, Mom. A deal is a deal." I thought it was clever. I didn't see the danger in it. Life kept moving. Robert and I kept building brick by brick until our little shop turned into a family empire across Ohio. Then Robert died just like that, sitting at his desk at the main office. A heart attack. 56 years of partnership, gone in one breath. People said I should retire, rest these old bones, but I wasn't done. I stayed, for Robert, for our story. Michael stepped in to help. He said, "Mom, let me handle things. You've done enough." And I believed him, foolish, trusting me, because back then I didn't know that the hands I once held to teach how to walk would be the same hands pushing me toward the coldest grave. But betrayal doesn't arrive with thunder. It whispers, and the first whisper was so small I nearly ignored it. Want to hear how it began? After Robert passed, the house felt too quiet and the office felt too big. Michael was gentle at first. He brought me tea during late-night paperwork, handled suppliers, attended meetings, and told everyone, "Mom deserves rest now." I thought he was being protective. I didn't see he was building walls around me, one polite gesture at a time. Slowly, things began to shift. Small things no one else would notice. Financial reports that used to be detailed became shorter. He called them simplified summaries so you don't tire yourself, Mom. Meetings were postponed, signatures were rushed. Still, like a foolish mother, I trusted him. But the little signs kept growing louder. One afternoon, I found out an old warehouse, one Robert and I bought decades ago, had been transferred to a company I had never heard of. When I asked Michael, he smiled that familiar smile and said, "Tax restructuring, Mom. You wouldn't want to get lost in the boring details." He closed the folder quickly, too quickly. Then suppliers began changing. Trusted partners gone, replaced with unknown firms. Longtime employees were fired without warning. Whenever I asked why, he would say, "New systems, modern efficiency." My head said something was wrong. My heart refused to believe it. One evening, while cleaning Robert's old desk at home, I found a folder he kept hidden, an updated list of all our properties, investments, shares. Out of curiosity, I compared it with the reports Michael had shown me recently. Items were missing, land gone, money unaccounted for. That was the first time I felt fear, not for my business but for my own child. To be sure, I went to the county records office the next morning. The woman at the desk looked uneasy when she handed me the documents. "Your son requested copies of these same files 2 weeks ago," she said quietly. I opened the papers right there at the counter, and my hands went cold. Several properties had been transferred to a company named Mr. Holdings, my son's initials. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an accident. It was a plan. I drove home in silence, tears burning behind my eyes, but none of them fell. A mother's tears are private. That night, I stared at my reflection and whispered, "Michael, what have you done?" But property wasn't the only thing he planned to take. He wanted my voice, my power, and soon he would come for my life. You never imagine your own child will hurt you. Even when all the signs are there, a mother's heart clings to hope. But hope can be deadly. The night I confronted Michael over dinner, I placed those property documents on the table, his initials, forged signatures, everything laid bare. His eyes went from shock to anger to something colder than ice. "Mom," he said through clenched teeth, "you're confused. You don't remember signing them, but you did." "No," I replied calmly. "I know what I signed and what I didn't. And I know what theft looks like." The mask cracked, just for a moment. He stood, knocking over his wineglass. "You're old. You're slipping. No one will believe you." I told him to leave my house. He did, but not before whispering, "Be careful, before you forget more than just paperwork." That was the night I realized he wasn't just stealing from me. He was erasing me. The next day, he called, voice soft like velvet. "Mom, I'm sorry about last night. I shouldn't have spoken that way. Let me show you the warehouse updates. We can talk there. Just us." Every bone in my body warned me not to go, but saying no would show I didn't trust him, and I needed him to think I still did, so I agreed. But I brought someone with me, Susan, a loyal employee who knew the business better than anyone. We arrived at the warehouse just after 3. He greeted us with that charm everyone else believed. We followed him through the aisles filled with boxes and metal shelves, the hum of industrial lights above us. Finally, he led us to the walk-in freezer. "Temperature gauge is acting up," he said. "Just need your opinion." The cold hit us like a wall the moment we stepped inside. I turned to say something, but before I could, there was a hard shove. Susan screamed. I stumbled forward. Then came the sound I will never forget, a heavy metal door slamming shut. I spun around. Through the small glass window, I saw his face, calm, expressionless, my son. He raised his phone and showed me a message on the screen. "It's better this way, Mom." Then he walked away. No hesitation, no tears, just footsteps fading into silence. The cold wrapped around us like a coffin. But I didn't die. Not yet. The freezer was his plan to end me. Instead, it became the place I was reborn. The cold wasn't just around me. It was inside my bones, creeping toward my heart like a slow, merciless tide. Susan and I pounded on the door. No one heard, no one came. The temperature dropped fast. Our breath turned to fog. My fingers went numb. At first, I screamed Michael's name, begged, pleaded, then I stopped. Not because I was calm, but because I understood my son had decided I was better dead. Susan was trembling beside me. "Why is he doing this?" she cried. "Because I know," I whispered, though my lips were stiff. "Because I'm the only thing standing in his way." We searched the freezer for an emergency release, but it had been disabled. He had planned this completely. Hours passed. Our bodies ached from the cold. We wrapped ourselves in cardboard and plastic from storage boxes, huddling in a corner to share warmth. I told Susan to talk, to sing, to move, anything to stay awake. Hypothermia doesn't kill with pain, it kills with sleep. At some point, she stopped answering. Her head drooped. I slapped her cheeks gently. "Stay awake," I begged. "Don't let him win." My own thoughts started to blur. I saw Robert standing in the corner, smiling like he used to. I saw my children when they were small, running around the store aisles. I saw my mother rocking in her old chair, knitting something I couldn't quite see. That's when I understood. I was dying. But just as the darkness started to feel warm, a voice inside me whispered, "Not here. Not like this. Not by his hands." Rage filled me, hotter than any flame. I grabbed a broken metal rod from a shelf and began striking it against the wall and shelves. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. Morse code, SOS, over and over. Even when blood dripped from my knuckles, I kept hitting. Hours blurred. My vision dimmed. Then, a sound. The door handle rattled. Light spilled in. A woman stood there. Maria, the night cleaner, her face frozen in horror. Oh my God! People rushed in, blankets wrapped around us, voices shouting for ambulances. The warmth burned my skin like fire. I heard someone say, "Her temperature is 82 degrees. She shouldn't be alive." But I was. And when they loaded me into that ambulance, I saw Michael watching. His face was pale, not from grief but from fear. He thought the cold would kill me. Instead, it carved something new inside me, something colder than ice. In the hospital, I made a decision. Do you want to hear how justice truly began? The hospital smelled of disinfectant and quiet secrets. Machines beeped softly beside me. My body was weak, lungs damaged, skin frostbitten. But my mind had never been sharper. Michael visited every day with flowers and a mask of concern. To the nurses, he was the perfect son. To me, he was the man who closed that freezer door. So I did the one thing he didn't expect. I pretended to forget. When the doctor asked if I remembered what happened, I blinked and whispered, "Just cold." Michael exhaled in relief. He thought his secret was safe. He leaned close and murmured, "Rest, Mom. You're safe now." But his eyes said something else. "Next time I won't fail." That was the moment love died inside me. The woman who raised him was gone. In her place stood someone colder, not broken, determined. With help from a kind nurse named Linda, I began to fight back. She brought me a tiny recorder and a cheap prepaid phone. I contacted only 2 people I trusted: David, my late husband's accountant friend, and Christopher, my nephew, who first suspected something was wrong. While Michael played the role of grieving son, I recorded everything he said when he thought I was too weak to listen. Things like, "She won't remember anything. Her mind's going. Once she's out of the hospital, I'll take care of it permanently. As long as she's breathing, I can't control the company." His words spoken in whispers were captured, every poisonous syllable. Meanwhile, David gathered documents, forged signatures, fake companies, stolen assets. Christopher sent emails and financial records, proving millions had vanished under Michael's name. Piece by piece, the truth became a weapon. When I was finally discharged, I returned home, not defeated but ready, my cane in one hand, evidence in the other. I looked at the house Robert and I built, the business we created, the life we once dreamed of, and I made a promise to the woman in the mirror. "You're not a victim. Not anymore." Michael still believes he's in control. He doesn't know what's coming. But soon, in a boardroom full of shareholders and lawyers, I will press play on a recording. His voice will fill the room like a ghost he cannot deny. He tried to bury me in ice. He forgot. Ice preserves everything, even the truth. And if you're still here listening to my story, thank you. If this touched your heart or made you think about trust, family, and strength, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps stories like mine reach more people who need to hear them.